All right, so recording is in progress, and we are doing a session on building media kits. Share my screen. It's building media kits specifically. Is my screen visible?
Yes. Just put it on presentation mode so everyone gets a full view.
Okay, going to my second screen. In presentation mode, can you see the facilitator's face? No? Yes, no? You're gonna have to give me an audio.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Okay, so you can see the facilitator's view. Okay, great. So I'm just gonna start this session with I've given you the two things to think about: your past experience with media engagement, and what has it taken to build the foundation of that. And in the next 1 year, what are you looking to do? And I'm going to follow that with an introduction to Dhiren, who is the former head of media relations of Genesis Public Relations. And he has agreed to be a guest facilitator for our sessions here. And he's sat on two group sessions in the past, 4 months. I think December was the first one, and multiple one-on-one sessions since then, where those sessions ended with some of the organizations developing their own media list completely. And part of these sessions is about giving people distributing the ability to firstly build their own media kit, and then how to engage press and maintain long-term relationships with that. With that, Dhiren, would you like to give the cohort a glimpse of your experience and what to expect from the session?
Sure. So first, thank you, Jacob, for this opportunity to help me brush up my experience once again. So I've got around 2 decades of experience in media, 10 years in journalism, 10 years in public relations. I've worked with Tehelka, Doordarshan, Economic Times, and Financial World. Financial Chronicle, where Jacob and I work together. And I've launched a couple of media products for national brands and also handled PR mandates from startups to listed companies to multinationals in aerospace to biscuits and surf to detergents and everything. When it comes to building media kits or media relations, see, media is a mega microphone in anyone's hand. If you can get your messaging across to them, it will work as a massive public announcement for whatever campaign you are doing. So it's very important that your messaging should be aligned to media interests. Now, in this session, I will tell you how to get their attention and how to convince them to publish your story. Most of the times, that's the biggest challenge to get your stories across. Because first challenge is most of the announcements sounds like tooting your own horn. So journalists are not interested in them because readers are not interested in them. If you have to toot your horn, you should place an advertisement instead of telling a story. So this building media kit is actually one of the first steps in getting your foot into the door into the editorial newsroom, from where you get the journalists to write more about you, set up and take notice of what you're doing, and also persuade the the readers to know more about you, align with your cause, and then take it forward from them. Maybe support you morally, financially, business wise, or be a follower of your activities on social media so they can spread their message even further. So in the following slides, we'll go through what are the key elements of building media kits. Right.
All right, thanks. Tanmoy, would you like to just jump in and give a 60-second brief on one, what that needs press coverage? Okay, I'm just going to put it in chat. One, tell us about one experience with attempting to get press coverage for your organization's work. And two, Bhavna, I'm going to tag you about what do you plan on doing in the coming year that needs press coverage. Okay, so Tanmoy, over to you.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Jacob. And thanks, Dhiren. I think for us as an organization, Project Potential, only recently, which is just like a month ago or so, and I reached out to Jacob for the same as well. is where we have sort of started thinking, I would say rather ambitiously in terms of getting our stories out to major publications, major press houses, right? And not just sufficing to local presses, right? So while I was doing that, I think the first thing, the thing that you mentioned, right, is at least like, how do I even approach and whom do I even approach, right? And what are the networks and channels through which I need to approach? I think that was a challenge point for me. And then the second challenge point was, like you mentioned, right, that, how do I, like, even if I get certain contacts or list of people or journalists or press houses, but then what, how do I put across my story that is sort of convincing for them enough to even cover us, right? So I think those were some of the things that I was sort of working around a lot. I still don't think I have an answer to it, but those were some things that I was actively confused or trying to figure out in the last 1 month, right? That was the experience that I had. And I think one thing that really helped me navigate this at least was the fact that I thankfully am doing a course in Ajim Premji University where one of my professors is a journalist or was a journalist, right? So when I went to her, then a lot of then I sort of like got access to some of her contacts, which were very local Bihar based, and we are also based out of Bihar, right? So like press. So for example, she mentioned to me that how even press like BBC may have someone in Bihar, right? And then if you want a story out of there, so how do you then reach out to certain kind of people? So that is where like one learning has been that getting into the right channels is important, but how to go about that is something that I'm still figuring out. And then after that, how to pitch about your story so that they can take interest in covering yours.
Thanks, Tanmay.
Yep.
I'll address your statement right away. So this
Yeah.
session will cover parts of it, but a major learning is an ongoing process. And
Yep.
as the location changes, the preferences of communication, the style of storytelling, all those also change. So it's a lifelong process. I'm just going to tell you the basic structure of how it
Yep.
will work.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Bhavna, would you like to say what you just typed out? Just, yeah.
Sure. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So 2 months ago, we were trying to get the Sanjay One issue where almost 800 to 1,000 keys were being felt out in the media. And that was my first experience actually working with the press release. And we had actually written a 4-page document, which included a lot of background as into what was happening in Sanjay One. And few of the inputs that we received were that it has to be crisp and it has to be something that directly introduces the story and not giving a lot of background. So that has been one experience. And in terms of answering the other question, it's mostly we want to engage with Nicobar and get it out in the media. So that is one of that is something I want to learn from the session today.
Thank you. A quick note on there is no Earth-B, and I see YFCI, Vijay here as well. There are, as well as Dinesh, there are 3 youth movements here. Chanati as well. There is no Earth-B. Great. Happy to see all of you here. Thanks, Bhavana, for that. Vijay, I tag you. Would you like to address the first question of your past experience of reaching out for press coverage? Tagging you.
Yes, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
I'm audible. Okay, great. Thanks for having me here. So it was related to the climate justice library which we run in Delhi. So we opened the library 2 years back, and that time getting press was very easier because it was something new. So a lot of press guys have come up, and we had a lot of stories in almost 10 plus media houses. But now idea of the library has also evolved from that time. But in the past 6 months we were trying to get more media coverage, but media seems okay, there are already articles about what different we can explore right now. So it was really hard in the past 6 months because we wanted to get more words out through the media, and we were not able to like successfully go about that. Yeah, that was also a challenge.
Thanks, Vijay. Okay, we're going to end with one question and just start the session. We're 15 minutes in. Namrata, would you like to attempt any one of the questions? past experience or something you're planning to do in the coming year from Dakshin,
Yeah,
Marine
sure.
Conservation
So,
Organization? Yeah.
yeah, so I think I can address the second one.
Yeah.
So for Dakshin, actually, I think we've not really managed to build the media outreach arm within communications very well. I think we've always sort of gotten stuck at just the stage of building that database and just making sure that the communications team sort of introduces themselves to that database and builds that relationship. So what I'm actually really hoping to gain from this session is just like an in-depth understanding of the steps that we should follow as sort of the primary steps to follow to start media outreach for an organization. I think that's what I'm really keen on learning.
Lovely. And yeah, and Namrata, you do have a couple of one-on-one sessions also. So this is going to be the foundation for that. And happy to have you here. All right, shall we get rolling then? I'm going to just set the context of the outline. So today's session is going to be about the Media Kit. What is it? Why is it? The original session is actually, it gives a landscape of like what is the diversity of audience in terms of media publications as an audience for you when you're reaching out to them. But here we're only going to be focusing on the Media Kit and the press release. This is the broad outline of the entire session. Okay, who has a Media Kit and what do you have in it? I tag Chiku, charka.org. Chiku, do you want to just talk about, do you have a Media Kit there? You can open it up to Chiku and Marisha.
Hi.
Yeah, go for it.
So I think as per me, what is there in like Media Kit is obviously like I say this pyramid of like again the journalism which contains like what is the issue, why we are writing this, and also some pictures or any videos that we have along the campaign that we can share it with like people out there, like basically the decision makers. So yeah, I think that is what Media Kit is as per me. Yeah.
Okay, Media Kit is a collection of a lot of things. You have mentioned a few things which should be there. And the pyramid style of writing is actually should be the part of how you draft a press release.
Marisha, do you want to build on what Chiku just shared? Coming
Yeah,
from
I think
a household of journalists, go for it. Yeah.
yeah, I think Chiku has been managing engagements with media for the longest time at Chatka. I very recently joined our media team, but our focus, we run campaigns. So our focus is to get our campaigns in the media. And so largely we focused on local media. What we do have in our Media Kit is we have an Excel sheet with all of the journalist numbers we know, or like we have from which media houses they are. And we have like these are the points of when we draft a press release or when we engage with media, what are the to-do things that, and Chiku kind of noted some of them. Like one is how do we draft a press release, but the other is also when engaging with journalists, how do we engage with them? Yeah, that's largely what I know that we have in our Media Kit so far.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so I'll take that, Jacob. So I noticed your expression also. So Media Kit generally is expected to be something which you send to the media. It is, although it has, you can have internal elements as part of the broader media engagement document or the folder that you maintain. A Media Kit is something that you can send to the media as it is. So it should not have any intelligence that you have collected over the period of time, like an Excel sheet containing all the numbers and names and email addresses of journalists or media houses, or anything which is sensitive that you don't want to go out to the media. Media Kit, as Chiku first said, is any visual or auditory assets that you have. So example, videos, images, all those things. It can also have other things, but I'll let the forum also to add on what they think should be part of their Media Kit. So I'm assuming most of you have engaged with the media and you have also understood some of the challenges that who to reach out to, how to reach out to, what to tell to them. But when you give them a document, what does that, what are those kinds of document and what do those documents have in it?
Okay, shall we keep rolling? Yeah, and don't mistake my expression, Dhiren. I'm just a little confused because we are meant to be in a paid session and not have a 40-minute limit. So when you started the session, I'm just going to sort that out in the back end. Yeah, Tanmay, you want to address something?
Yeah, I think to Dhiren's question, in my limited experience as of now, I just have two things that I have like really sent out to media as such. One is definitely the story itself. And especially when we're sharing our stories with local journalists, right? That is when they directly ask us, what is the story? Just give it to us, right? So that is when I draft a story, whatever it is. And it's more like of an update story, basically, that, this event has happened in Project Potential, right? So that is one document that I have sent. Other than that, I have another document which is just like a draft email which I wouldn't say it would be a part of, I don't know if it's a part of a media kit as such, but it is basically a draft email in terms of just reaching out to journalists and press houses and journalists and press houses in terms of, hey, this is a story, we think this is the reason why this needs to be covered. So those are the two documents that I have as of now in terms of anything to do with the media kit.
Yeah, as far as nomenclature goes, the mail where you introduce yourself and what you do is an introductory mail as well. The other is a press note where you just update what you have been doing.
Yeah. Okay.
Chiku,
Now, the crucial difference between a press note and a press release is a press note, you do not need to publish it on your website. A press note is just an update for the media to keep track of what you're doing. A press release is basically a statement of records which you need to publish on your website so that in future, whenever anyone wants to see what all things you have done, they can refer and see what all releases or announcements you have made. That's the only difference, function-wise.
Okay.
Does anyone, Chiku, you have your hands raised.
So I just want to add on to my point. I think also a media kit carries about the organization plus also the partners who are involved in that. Like those are like two major like things also that should be there. Plus also the contact information of like whom to contact, right? Like if the media person has more like they want more information about the issue. So I think these three things also is something that I missed out. I wanted to just add that.
Yes, absolutely correct. Those should be parts of your media kit. So that, whenever you pass it on to a journalist, they would have all the information on their fingertips. They would know who the founders are, what the organization does, where can they get the photos, logos, or the contact details of people who may be able to answer any particular query related to the field that you're operating in, or be a spokesperson in any of the panel discussions if a subject is relevant and easy.
I had a question here. So it's based on an incident that happened a couple of months ago. In that, like, I think in our press notes and press releases, we always have like reach out to this person, whoever the person in our organization who's working on that issue. And I think that since some journalists we already have relationships with, they don't even read the press release. They kind of just publish it as is, which means that our personal information does end up being
Sorry, I
online.
lost
This
you for a bit.
happened to me. Sorry, I said
Mirisha,
that.
I lost you for repeat your last statement.
Yes, I was saying that sometimes when journalists have a relationship with somebody they've already engaged with in the past, and they trust them, they tend not to read the press release and they publish it as is. This happened to me actually a couple of months ago, where the press release was published as is, word for word, which means that my contact information, which was there mainly for the journalists to reach out to me, was literally on a news channel out. Fortunately, it was like online, and I reached out to the editor and I was like, hello, my phone number is on your like website. But yeah, I mean, how do we avoid things like that? Because we do want to have contact information for the journalists to be able to reach out to us, but sometimes they kind of just publish without looking at the press note or press release.
What could be the demerits of having your number out there?
Oh, because because we're a campaigning organization, I just had a lot of people calling and messaging me.
Mhm.
A lot of just citizens who had read the article and thought, because it says, right, if you have any queries, you can reach out to our campaigner, whoever,
Okay.
Marisha or Alex, on WhatsApp at this number or like over email. And
Mhm.
so the people, because it was published as is, thought that they could reach out. And
Okay.
luckily, it was a tree cutting based note. So most people reaching out were very sweet. They were like, we want to plant trees here. Oh, trees are being cut here. But if it
Mhm.
was anything else, because we also work in gender and sexuality, um, if it was any of the other issues, I could have, as a woman, received a lot of flack from, um, various citizens. I could have also, gotten inappropriate messages. So just that.
Mhm. Right. So I think here you will need to track where your release gets published and flag it to the editor to take down your contact information. So these things happen, and it happens primarily because some journalists or the website admins or newspaper editors, while it won't happen with newspaper, like print media won't do this, but with online media, this happens very frequently because most of them work on a copy paste publish mode. So this kind of scrutiny might not always be there.
Okay, so let's keep this rolling. We'll save more questions. Okay, Media Kit, Vijay. All right, so Vijay has addressed some of it. Let's just deep dive into the meat of it. Dhiren, over to you.
Yeah. So in your media kit, there has to be an about us section where you have biographies of your spokespeople. These need not be like page long full CVs or resumes of your spokespeople or the founders or the leaders. It just needs to be one paragraph long. That is it. Even big listed multinational companies have it one para long, or they simply provide a hyperlink to their LinkedIn accounts. That's one thing you can do. Contact information of the spokesperson of the press coordinator has to be there. Details about the products and services that you are providing has to be there in the about us section, right? And website address, if you have an advisory council or an advisory board, you can provide that information as well. Social media profiles, all of them that you can share with them, please do so. And it's important that you state your goal upfront. Then so next point is, when do you share a media kit? It's when you are launching a study or a report, or you've achieved a milestone or target, or any statistics that you are sharing. Collaterals, which the media can always feel free to use, could be logos, images, video, and other assets. And then comes the press release. Press release is different from the about us section. Press release basically talks about what the announcement is and what the media is supposed to publish the next day or on that day itself. And any kind of FAQs that you may think are frequently posed to you. So all the questions are answered preemptively. So the journalist or the editor does not waste time in researching about what you do. All the answers all the questions are answered in advance. Next slide, please. Any questions about this? About the biographies of the bios of the spokespeople, or social media profiles, websites? The reason I'm telling you to have all of these things upfront is because there are many new entities coming up, and all these entities, especially as young as yours, will take time to get media traction and create a recall value where people simply go onto their web browser, type your name, and it comes up, right? And also there could be several scammers and spammers who might be using a combination of tools to be basically imposter of what you're doing. So to curb all those things, having all your online accessories into one place always helps. This can be a separate document or could be a separate para under the press release. It depends on how much material that you want to provide. Again, one more key rule for a press release: it should not be more than 1 page long, excluding the about us section. Now, coming to press release, how many of you have actually drafted a press release? And what has been the experience in getting them published?
I tag Ritika. Good to see you. It'd be great to hear from you as well. Ritika for Uninhibited.
Hi, Jacob. Hi, Vijay. Um, we haven't really done a press release with uh so far from Uninhibited. Like Uninhibited works on menstrual, sexual, and reproductive health in Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. So we haven't done like a solid press release. I think there have been a few local press coverages, but from our end, we haven't really done it so far.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just going to also tag Ashmira. Good to have you here, Ashmira. About the press release. I know the answer of this because of our long discussions, but do you want to share with the cohort your experience with reaching out successfully or unsuccessfully? Yeah. Ashmira, just tagging you. Yeah. You want to share your experience with the press release and reaching out to the press?
Hi, Jacob. Sorry, I was unable to unmute it as usual. No, I have not done press release before. I've never done it before.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully, after this session, you'll start to be able to do that.
Yes, I hope so too.
All right. Kritika, want to give a sense of your experience with press releases?
Yes, I personally haven't worked on a press release, and this is just an entirely new topic for me. So yeah.
Got it. All right. We'll keep it rolling. Dhiren?
Yeah. So what happens is you will notice there is always a difference between how you draft a press release and how it gets published or who carries it. And in the next slide, I'll tell you all this process step by step of how it happens. Right. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what is a press release and why it is published? It's a statement of record, as I said earlier. It is to inform your media and public about any significant event. Now, one of the participants said that first you launched your service or your company, and after that the media kept on asking, okay, what's next? What is new? So press release takes that what is new conversation forward, and it has to be it's a point of reference for the media and consumers who want to know what you're doing and how the previous campaigns were launched or announced, and then you do a press release again to showcase what were the results that were achieved. So there would be various occasions. Now, press release is one of the tools in the variety of tools that you can use to engage with the media. Other tools could be interviews, press conferences, press notes, anything of a social media campaign, and the press release basically takes it forward. It just captures the essence of the announcement and gives it to the media, the target media that you want to engage with. Next slide, please. Now, occasions where you can issue a press release is when you win an award or a contract or you've conducted an event. You can also announce events or campaigns through a press release whenever you get a new leadership appointment, launch a new product or service, or you have revamped or improved an existing product or service, or you have created a new brand, have had a new collaboration with someone else. All these kind of events or milestones in your corporate journey or your organization's journey are important to be captured in the form of a press release. That thing goes out. And for each of these events, the target media will keep on changing. Suppose if you have announced a new leadership appointment, say you have had a new finance head or a new HR head, Normal business media, CSR media, local media might not be interested in it, but all those websites, portals, or publications which track HR movement or the appointment of HR heads, they will be interested in it. So your media list will need to keep on evolving depending on what kind of announcement you're making. Next, please. Exercise, yes. Now exercise is, we will give you a situation on which you just need to draft the headline and draft the first line of your press release. This is to tell you, this is just to help you to understand what will create news out of the event that you're trying to do, right? So here the context is multiple organizations, including yours, want their areas of work to be included as a curriculum in a major university in a capital city. After a lot of WhatsApp activity, a large number of people from different domains have come together to get the attention of the decision makers. Famous actress Deepika Pakode is attending the event. She is supporting the implementation of all these courses. She was trained as a lawyer and comes from a tribal community. She strongly believes that one, everyone needs to know their fundamental rights, and second, that education and technology can enable this. What your organization asks to the decision makers is to approve the following courses in 3 languages, which would be a regional language, Hindi and English, in the university curriculum. And the list of all the courses is given below. And on the day of the event, 3,000 people have come to support your cause. Now you need to create a press release which captures this whole thing. Give me a headline and give me an introductory line. First, let's think only about the headline. What should be the headline of this press release?
Let me jump in there, Dhiren.
You can just shout it out loud.
Allow me to jump in, Dhiren.
Yeah.
So just do not, there are tasks, as you can see at the bottom of the page on the left side. Do not focus on 2 and 3, just focus on 1. It's only about the press release, all right? And same with the content requirements, just only focus on 1. Do not just forget 2 and 3 are there. This is part of the larger session. Today it's about just a press release. Yeah, that's it, Dhiren. I just wanted to clarify that. This is the one screen that matters for this. And the list of things was also, the list of certificate programs was also based on the profile of all the coexisting cohorts, and all the new cohorts here, all the new participants here would also find likelihood of wanting such a certificate program to be part of curriculums in a university. So I'll just say out the certificate programs. Public interest litigation. The second one is equality rights. The third one is ecology of the Western Ghats. The fourth one is legal application of grassroots technology. And the fifth one is circular economy. The sixth one is governance of commons. So hopefully all of you will find one of them that you want to promote. You do not have to do all of the certificate programs. Even if you choose one of them and write a headline and a first line about it, even a first paragraph would be great. Up to 150 to 200 words is great. That will be enough. And then you can submit it in the chat group. Back to you, Dhiren.
Yeah, so I'm very much interested in what is the headline people see coming out of this event. Remember, your headline should be such that it will catch the attention of the reader. If you get that part, the journalist will automatically take it up, because ultimately both of you have the same target audience, the reader. What are the news points here? First is Deepika Pakode is there attending this. What is the second part? If we first identify what are the newsy items here, then we can arrange it in terms of importance, and then it will give us a headline. First being Deepika Pakode, the famous film actress. Second part is 3,000 people have congregated to support this cause. What could be the third very important part?
Would the courses be?
Yes. Now, if we have identified three important parts of this, how would be the headline?
Yeah.
Headline of your press release.
We'll give it 120 more seconds, Dhiren. How about that? Is that too aggressive a timeline?
No, that's very lavish.
Okay, countdown starts now. Let's go.
Like everyone should go on unmute and then start throwing in the headlines.
Dhiren, just notifying you, we have a headline submission from Dinesh.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we could, your choice whether you want to share it yet or, but yeah, please go.
From the parties and
I'll just keep notifying you.
to localize its equality campaign for Hindi-speaking people. Hindi-speaking people, there are 3 languages. Sorry, the courses are in 3 languages. And
okay, I thought we had to address one of them.
We can address all of them. Only the difference here is that we need to get some facts right. Another part is FFF partners with actress Deepika Pakode is an entirely different thing. You will need her consensus to partner with you. She has joined a cause which you align with. She hasn't partnered with you exclusively.
Understood.
Dhiren, there's one more from Tanmoy.
Deepika Pakode joins forces with multifaceted coalition to advocate for inclusive curriculum at Capital City University. Okay, good. Where is your name here? Your organization's name. It's a good headline, no doubt, but you need to serve your interest as well.
Okay. But also, I was just thinking, is this too big of a headline, or it should be shorter?
It will work great if it's shorter.
Okay.
But my first focus is on getting the headlines out of you all. Okay. We can work on the word count later on.
And you mentioned that in headlines, the organization's name should be this one, right? It should somehow or the other be included in it.
Yeah, because you are not doing PR for Deepika. You have to do PR for yourself.
Okay.
You are like leveraging Deepika's presence there to put forward, push your cause.
Okay.
Other headline is here: civil society organizations in Bollywood, Pakoda collapse to create a change for the fundamental rights of citizens. Too long, very vague. It does not say about anything about curriculum or the city. And also, again, your organization's name is not coming up here. No, 3,000 people joined Deepika Pakode in support of integrated and inclusive certificate programs advocated by jatka.org. Kind of okay, but also 3,000 people haven't joined Deepika Pakode. It's the other way around. Like Deepika, 3,000 people, jatka.org, march in support of integrated programs in university. That could be a headline. And then you can play around that headline. But it's important that your name has to be there. Along with 3,000 people congregate to advocate TNIBs. Again, so this is a good headline, what Chunauti has said. But again, here, nuances are making a lot of difference. Along with 3,000 people to advocate TINEB's campaign, it's not only your campaign, it's a coalition of many organizations, right? So that has to be captured. You need to be mindful of such nuances. Okay. Now, these are good attempts. And the point here is you need to leverage the star presence at whatever you are doing, the location where you are operating in, the kind of public support that this campaign is receiving. All those things are very crucial to build a selling point of your press release, right? Now, the next part of this exercise would be, who will you send out this release to? For who is it relevant? In which page of a newspaper would this kind of a story come up?
And just from experience with the cohort at large, in general, I would highly suggest don't pick just any large publication, but pick a publication, the city, and a page. The more precise the targeting, the more effective it's going to be. Just yeah, because we have got responses like saying YouTube. Just YouTube in itself is not enough. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I say that.
Hmm.
Yeah, back to you, Dhiren.
Yeah, Namrata has said Hindu, TOI, local newspapers, down to earth. Okay. On which page of Hindu or TOI will it be carried? Or is it likely to be carried?
Sorry, was that question for me?
Yeah.
I didn't, could you repeat your question?
In which of the pages of Hindu or TOI would this story be carried?
Okay. I mean, I'm guessing not on the front page. I'm not too sure what the terms are, but not on the front page. We'd want it to be on the front page, but chances are it may not be.
Okay. Then in
Um,
which page?
Maybe in the second or third page.
Right. So those are city pages, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this means if you can identify the city page is the right placement for this kind of story, you will need to have the list of city editors of all the newspapers that you want to target. Right? You would not gain more traction if you send it to, say, the sports editor, that's completely irrelevant, or the Bollywood reporter, that's somehow relevant, but it would not be coming up in Bangalore Times, Delhi Times, Bombay Times, right? It may come up as a snippet, but it's most relevant for that particular city's page where this entire event is happening, right? So the city reporter, city bureau chief would be the most relevant person you need to reach out to. When you are planning this press release, go back 3 or 4 days in the previous editions and see who are the people reporting about education, university, and city affairs. And that will give you an idea of who you should be reaching out to whenever your press release is ready. And this has to be done like at least a month in advance before you launch your release, right? And this will also give you enough time to build your correspondence with that particular journalist, inviting them that, see, this march is going to happen on this day, Deepika would be there, why don't you come in and cover this event? That's one way of inviting and building a media support much before you start. Yes, Jacob.
I'm just also raising my hand as a participant, Dhiren. How about the education pages in itself? Like, since this is quite linked to education, would that make sense?
Yes, so education pages will also be very relevant for this. Unfortunately, there are no dedicated education pages in many of the publications. Only few have them, like TOI has an Education Times, But HBL has BL Campus. And apart from that, most of the publications don't have a dedicated space for it. But yes, education as a beat exists, and most of the times their stories are subsumed under the city pages. So it can go there.
Thank you.
Tanmay, I hope this answers your question as well. His question was,
Yes,
is
sir.
there
Yeah.
education pages? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So next slide, please.
We
So
have a question
Namrata, you
from
have a
Namrata.
question?
Yeah, I was just curious, what would an ideal headline be from your end for the exercise?
Yeah, Deepika joins movement. Deepika, your organization name joins movement to support, to demand inclusion of these courses in university varsity curriculum.
Okay, all right.
I'll just write it in the chat also.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah, as Dhiren writes it, the next part is about writing the lead of the story, which is like the first 3 sentences of the story. Just prepare yourself. Like
Yeah.
once the headline is done, is there an intro sentence, and then what is the first paragraph?
Yeah.
We have Tanmay
I'll share
and
for that. Yeah. Tanmay, go ahead, shoot your question.
Yeah, Dhiren, just a more general question in terms of the fact that we are all from the social sector space, right? The not-for-profit space, working with different kinds of communities, different kinds of projects on ground. I just wanted to understand also in terms of all these bigger publications, right? How much are they usually, in your experience, how much are they actually even interested to cover stories from these kind of sectors, these kind of philanthropy world or work? Is there enough amount of interest for them to intuitively want to cover such stories as well?
Yes. So, see, interest comes from the newsiness of your announcement. If it's newsy, people will carry it. If it's not newsy, then there are various other ways to push for those kind of stories. Yeah, if it has a news element. See, here the news element was presence of a celebrity, marching of 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Right. And so all those things are very relevant newsy points. Suppose if you are the only person, holding that protest card and marching along, then that won't make a news. It's just one person's endeavor, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So the scale of participants tells how important a public issue that particular cause is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is why people often, focus on bringing people together to take out such marches. But as an smaller organization or youth organization, you might not always be able to gather even 30 people to rally for a march, and that too frequently for every campaign that you organize, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for such a situation, you will need to find other newsy points. What could be the other news points? For example, there is a previous announcement by any kind of big minister. Suppose
Yeah.
Prime Minister says something which very well aligns with the cause that you want to promote.
Yeah.
So that becomes a hook. Something
Okay.
which the Prime Minister endorsed in his previous speech.
Yeah.
You are doing something in that direction. That's a fantastic news point.
Okay.
It provides relevance plus a trigger. Now the announcement by whoever you're quoting should not be so old that it sounds irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It has to be very relevant to that present times.
Okay.
And a lot of this news also depends on what is trending topic.
Yeah.
Like when we were in journalism school, we were told that every time a dog bites a man is not a news, but a man bites a dog, that's a news. But nowadays, even dog biting men is also becoming news.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that because there is a huge, massive amount of online discussion, debate, fights that are happening over pet parenting or feeding strays. All those things have become an issue, which
Yeah.
is why this has become a very relevant topic.
Okay. Makes sense.
So find out what all things will make your story very relevant. Bring it up on top of your headline or in the sub-headline. And I'll share my screen and I'll tell you how to write such kind of stories.
Okay.
Disabled participant screen sharing. Jacob, give me rights.
Yeah, here we go. Equality rights. Here we go. All right, I'm stopping sharing.
Okay. So basis the situation, I'll give you the first headline, then sub-headline. Sub-headline basically highlights what you're trying to say, then the intro. Right. Intro is basically capturing everything at one go. So first, most important part of the news story was, of the situation was Deepika's presence. 3,000 people. Your organization. I'll just say ORG here. Okay. And then there is demand for inclusion in varsity curriculum. Right. Now, to make this very impactful is we'll remove the 3,000 people and imply it in the headline. Deepika, your organization march to demand for inclusion in varsity curriculum. So suppose in later cases, you can also remove Deepika from your headline, right? You can have it in the sub-headline. Each subsequent line should reveal a new information. That has to be the first rule. Never repeat which is already there in the headline or sub-headline. Right? In the intro, you can combine the two factors together. So here the intro should read as your organization this is a very important line in all your releases, not only this one, in all your releases, you should have a one line descriptor of what you do. One line descriptor, don't make it a para. For example, say Wipro Consumer Care, India's largest consumer brand. HDFC Bank, India's largest financial brand. Okay, these are the descriptors. Boeing, world's largest aircraft manufacturer. This is how they release their press releases. So you can take a reference from whichever brand you want to emulate and check out their press releases, how they draft it. So you will always see their brand name will be mentioned, then the descriptor will be mentioned. After that, the line should be.
Tanmoy, why don't you give it a, why don't we put project potential, which does A, B, C, D? How would you say that? Yeah, Dhiren, let's just make it, let's just give this like an example. Yeah, Tanmoy.
Yeah, so I would say my organization project potential, primarily working on building grassroots leadership. So that would be the second one. And then participated in the mass movement demanding this.
Dhiren requesting you inject that into the intro.
Or can I just write it down on the chat? That would make
Oh,
it
sure,
easier
yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Let's do. Requesting all participants to do this with the introduction line in the chat. Yeah. In the meantime, we can project potential, yeah. Ritika, I'm going to tag you next. No pressure.
Jacob, do you mean like uninhibited and what comes next?
Yeah, which
So I
does
was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking uninhibited making menstruation a non-issue was one option I was thinking about, and the other was also uninhibited de- destigmatizing menstrual health, one safe space at a time. So I was just like, a few thoughts were in the head. I was just writing it down on the chat box.
Okay, yeah, please go for it. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Sure.
Okay, while everyone is thinking of how they would want to do, here the structure should give you some idea of how a press release would be drafted. Your organization marches to demand, marches to demand for inclusion in varsity curriculum. Okay. The reason I'm telling you to have your organization's name in the headline is because when this story goes to the journalist and the desk editor, they will simply see how can I make it non-branded for their reader. So they will always try to put Deepika in front, 3,000 people in front, and your organization will become the casualty, and it will be under in the body copy of the story. Yes, Namrata.
So my question actually pertains to what you just said. Because since this is sort of like a joint movement, right? Like it's not one organization making a request. So shouldn't the headline be drafted accordingly to just make it seem like a much bigger issue that's being addressed?
You can definitely do that as long as you're not appropriating someone else's work as your own.
Okay. All right. Makes sense.
Yeah. One of the suggestions, someone said that organization, joins hands with Deepika. So that's not factually true. She's just present, but you are also there.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Thanks.
We have something in chat today.
Yes, Vijay said last week over 3,000 people gathered at NG Road to support localization of the curriculum. Deepika Pakode, Youth for Climate India, Jhatka, Fridays for Future. There is no Earth Be among few names that have come in support. This should be in the second para. In the first para, see, you need to promote your organization. So focus everything on what your organization is doing in the intro para. All the other participants can come in the second para. Right. So your organization, which works for human rights, I'm just using some as a space filler, participated in the mass movement demanding the inclusion of 6 courses on environment studies in this university curriculum in 3 languages. This gives all the information of what is happening and what the demand is, right? Then I am buttressing my claim by saying 3,000 people were there. Famous Deepika Pakode was also there, and the other organizations which took part in the mass were. जो भी उनके नाम है, you can put it here. But this is also not necessary because you do not, unless it's like an understood coalition where you are working jointly. So the benefit would be that not too many people will be reaching out to the same set of journalists saying कि हमारा story ले लो. In fact, you are doing a service to the media houses by saying, on behalf of everyone, you are sharing this release, and it will have all the details. It will basically reduce your workload and improve the chances of coverage as well. Now, in the other slides, I will show you.
Dhiren, we have a question from Namrata about the problem statement.
Yes. Go on.
Yeah, so Dhiren, you mentioned that the first paragraph should talk about your organization specifically. But I was just wondering, would it...
One second. I'll just clarify that part. It should have a descriptor about what your organization does and not extensively talk about what your organization does.
So more like a one-line description, right?
Yes, preferably like if it's like within under 6 words or so.
Got it. And what are your thoughts on the first paragraph also talking about the problem statement?
The problem statement can be explained in subsequent paras. In the inverted pyramid scheme of things, you need to show what is happening, where it is happening, why it is happening.
Okay.
5W1H, all those things can be crunched into one line or one para. That's the intro para.
Okay, got it.
Now, I will show you some examples of how large companies do it. So I hope my screen is visible to all. I'm sharing a sample screen where I'm showing announcement by Wipro about its annual results and another announcement by HDFC Bank for launching its marketing campaign called Festive Treats. Right? One is the business announcement, one is a consumer announcement. So you will see that in the Wipro announcement, it's very bland. Large deal bookings reach 1.3 billion on increase of 79% YOY, 6% QOQ, quarter over quarter, right? It's so bland that they have given only pointers that these are the various parameters. Now you have to play as a journalist what you want to highlight. In the other release by HDFC Bank, they have said that it's is Tyohar no intezar. That's the tagline of the ad campaign, which has become the headline here. Right? In the next pointers, they have said there are 10,000 offers available on cards and easy EMI, then instant digital solutions for consumer, personal and business needs. The intro here has some meat compared to what the intro of Wipro's announcement is. Here they have said HDFC Bank, India's largest private sector bank. This is the descriptor which I keep talking about in all my sessions, that your brand needs to have a descriptor like this. See what makes you unique, special, or different in the space that you're operating in. And this will be the differentiator in all the announcements that you will make. And keep this uniform across all your press releases so that it becomes a constant part of your messaging scheme. Okay. Now the journey of these two releases will be quite different. Yes, Jacob, you have your hand raised.
No, again, I'm just as a participant. It sounds like you're going to address it. So yeah, just can't finish what you're saying. Yeah, I'm just going to talk about the
So the journey of these two releases will be quite different. Although both are from a corporate point of view, but both their target readers are quite different. For Wipro, the target reader is the business community, the people who invest in stock markets or have subscribed to the shares of this company. They are the target readers for this. While for the HDFC announcement, the target readers is anyone who is out there to shop. And if you notice the date, it's on 25th October. That means just around Diwali and the festive season in the calendar year. Now, what will happen is when it goes to the media, the editor will decide on which page should the story go or how it should be written. Now, the important part is there are many companies announcing their results as well as launching new campaigns for festivals, right? So before I tell you how I reveal how the media takes it, I want you to keep in mind how the press department within the organization will go on to communicate the story. Jacob, you have a question?
Yeah, no, I just want to share an example in the development sector. For instance, the two different audiences here, with the example with Wipro, it's basically shareholders and then public relations in itself, like mass public. But I think with the development sector, one would be like CSR India, the readers of CSR India, where it's the head of CSR divisions that are reading it, which potential funds could come in. And the other would be people in the education sector, people within the tribal communities. And so that's the split in that for that. I just potentially, would that be correct, Dhiren? Just checking to see.
Yes. That's
Just
very true because
just to make it relevant for this audience. Yeah.
The messaging will define which media would be most relevant to you. And it should not be like volume versus quality. If your announcement is relevant to most people, it should go to general media. If it's very specialized, it should go to trade media or specialized media. How the teams basically function is they create a draft release of whatever announcement they have to make several days in advance, sometimes weeks in advance. And everything is calendarized. In January, we are doing this till December, whatever we are doing. All those things are calendarized, and the details keep trickling in at least 2 months in advance, if not a quarter in advance. Then all releases have to be cleared by a relevant team or leaders. This is very important that your communication should be very clear and someone should be held responsible for whatever goes out, right? And then media lists are updated before you go out and share your announcement. And an important part that TV and radio don't take releases unless the announcements are in public interest. And then this public interest is also definable in various ways, whether it's aligned with any of the government initiatives. Say, example, if you're doing something for Digital India, which is a government campaign, and your campaign is also aligned with it, then it may make sense for a TV or a radio broadcaster to take it as part of their announcement. Of course, the medium will change because it's TV, it will come as a video, and radio, it will come out as an announcement. And only Akashvani announces news for radio. For private FM and AM channels, you will need to have a marketing tie-up with them. You'll need to pay, and the spokesperson then will come as a guest speaker, and you will discuss some issue, and that will come under an infotainment segment. So here is the example of how the HDFC Bank release is treated, right? The headline earlier was Ishtihar, no intezar, something like that. But how Z has taken it is very different from how Business Today has taken it. Z has said that launches festive treats 3.0 with over 10,000 offers, while Business Today has said banks line up festive seasons deals ahead of Independence Day. So here also you will see that several banks had launched the same thing. So the reporter Piyush Shukla simply combined all those things and made it into one story instead of having several of the same stories published again and again. Because with each subsequent story which is talking about the same thing, the reader interest in that particular announcement will drop. And when it will drop, it will also take down the website ranking of the news portal. So they have to keep in mind how their portal also performs online. And all these stories will be tackled from different ways. Most often, all headlines are changed. Whatever you send them, it's always changed. Because every website will try to align it to their reader interest and highlight the most relevant part for them, right? And so reporters will also look out for patterns and trends that they might see, and always try to add value for the readers and make it more shareable. Now, parts of press release, in your press release, make sure that you have your logo on the left side, address on the right side, headline, the pointers which are there. You can have 2, 3, but not more than 3, ideally. And each pointer should be 1 line long.
Dhiren, the screen that you're showing now. So is this the format of a press release basically? So you mentioned the difference in press note and press release. So when I'm sharing the press release, I thought I would have to send it in an email or in a Word document. But is this how we actually do it?
See, yes, it's an ideal way to do it. Everyone does it on the corporate side. Even their CSR arms make announcements in this format. And when you send it in the document format, it becomes very easy for the editor to forward it as an attachment to whoever the person on the desk is or on the beat is, instead of sending the entire email. Although it's not very difficult, they can also do it, right? But when it's in a document format, suppose if you're not writing in English and it's in some other language, then in the PDF format helps, because then the system does not need to have that font to display it correctly. Yeah. Then at the bottom of the press release, these are the information. Since HDFC Bank is a huge organization, it cannot be captured in one para. They have simply given the link of their website. So whoever is wanting to know more about them, then simply go there and know more about it. Then names of the people who you should get in touch should you require more information. Name, designation, company, mobile number, email address. Right? I'll recapture how you have to write a press release. You need to capture what is happening, who is doing it, who is benefiting, why is it happening, when or where is it happening, and how does it matter. All these collectively answer the first question that every editor or journalist asks. So what? Right? You have an announcement, you're doing something. So what? How does it matter? So all these things need to flow in that direction. Right? Any questions?
So when we write, so this how does it matter? Does it come in the press release side of things or during the press note itself when you're just reaching out to the
How does
journalists
it
or
matter
even
has to be addressed in every communication with the media.
okay.
So suppose you want to invite media to attend one of the sessions that you're organizing or the campaign that you're going to launch. Okay. And you don't have like 3,000 people attending it. You still need to let them understand why does it matter. And, so this also helps in securing meetings with top editors.
Okay.
That your organization has been working in XYZ field. And for so many years, you have achieved XYZ things in, say, 6 months, and it has impacted thousands of lives. All those things are factual things.
Okay.
And then you explain in my meeting with you, I would like to explain what are the things that we are working on, from where all we are getting support, and how we can talk about it more, so your readers can benefit from our story.
Yeah. Okay.
So parts of the press release, which I showed before: logo, address, headlines, subheadings, dateline, placeline, introduction with descriptor, context or additional info, quote. Quote is a very important part. Every release should have a quote where your spokesperson explains the how does it matter part. Yeah. And any additional information that you want to provide in it. This could be part of your release. You can take this part of the release from sources which have nothing to do with your organization. As I gave the example before, suppose the Prime Minister or any big minister has said something which aligns to your work, then you can provide that as an additional information. Like 3 months ago or last year, PM or the minister said XYZ about this thing, and that is why you are doing it. Then about the company and contact details. So all these elements have to be there. Till this part should be in your first page, and these last two parts can be in the second page. Now, where to get names of relevant journalists or the media lists? This is the link of a PR group, and the other two are PR coordinators who run various WhatsApp groups across the country. And they have many PRs working in that WhatsApp group. So if you have any query, say you want city media list for Bangalore, just shoot a message to them. They will, someone in that group will send you the list. So you reach out to them, say that you want to be added in the media and PR group or the PR Rangers group, and they will add you in the relevant chapter. So in your message, you should mention your name, your organization name, and your location and your designation. And then you say that I got your number from Deyenduku, and I would like to be part of the PR WhatsApp group. And in these WhatsApp group, there are many, apart from PRs, there are many journalists as well, active journalists. Although you won't be able to recognize them just through their numbers, But if you have any query, you can just shoot in that group. And the queries could be quite wide ranging. Say example that you want to reach out in a location where you don't have any office or a friend or any known contact. So suppose you want to run a campaign in Ladakh. Okay, you don't know who the editor is, you don't know who the press reporter is, you don't know anyone on the government side as well. So you can simply say, I want to reach out to a press coordinator in Ladakh. And someone would be able to help you out there. You can reach out to this XYZ person who handles either press information bureau there or is a press coordinator as an affiliate. An affiliate is basically a subordinate PR functionary who is not related to any big organization and works independently. And they work as a middleman between your organization and the press in that locality. Yes, Tanmay.
Yeah, Dhiren, just a question. So I am based out of Bihar in a small locality in Bihar, right? So one of the things that I feel is relevant for me is in terms of getting the city editors who are based out of Patna, maybe, right? Because that's the biggest city which is the closest to me, right? But also at the same time, I just also wanted to understand is that, for example, I mean, I want to get this out at a national level as well, right? So would it be relevant for me to also get in touch with city editors from Delhi, city editors from, other parts, other bigger cities as well, or that wouldn't be relevant?
No, so location will define from where your story will be filed, right? If your
Okay.
activity or you are based out of Bihar,
Yeah.
a person or a reporter from Delhi, Lucknow, or even nearby places, say Madhepura, won't be relevant
Yeah.
for you.
Okay.
Yeah. The city editor will decide who will go out to report or interview you or to see whatever you're doing, and then
Yeah.
accordingly the story about it.
Yeah.
Depending on how well the story is written or how you narrate it to the journalist and
Yeah.
what kind of traction that they see, the story
Yeah.
can first come in the local edition and then in the national edition.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I'll give you one example. A few days ago in Bangalore, we read a story about a female toddy farmer.
Okay.
She's 40 years old, climbs coconut trees to extract toddy every day and goes again, climbs it up again in the evening. She is celebrated as a woman leader, and the entire story is about her. When first the story came, it was in the local edition in somewhere in Kerala, but the story traction traveled well, so it then came in the southern editions. Gradually, it will come in the national edition as well.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah.
Sorry, just note down these numbers and the hyperlink as well.
Yeah,
I'm
Dhiren,
not sure
don't
how.
worry.
I'll check the hyperlink.
Don't worry. This will be shared, but yeah, you can share it in the group. But these will be shared after the session with everybody that's participated. So, yeah. Okay. I know. Okay, Thalma, noted. Yeah, I will
Yeah.
have it.
I have one more update before I forget. See, there's a stark difference between how city media functions versus national publications function. City media are those publications. What I mean by that are those publications who are run independently, like a blog or a very small newspaper. Say, Arawat Times in Bangalore it's read by barely 5,000 people. It's a very local media, right? And it's nowhere comparable to TOI, but it still has a relevance and decent readership, right? So such media may help you initially, but later on they will start asking for some kind of a gratification. For example, they'll say, give me an Amazon coupon or some kind of a gift. And it's totally upon you whether you want to oblige it or not. Pros and cons is you give it once, it will be accepted as in gratitude. Second time, it will be expected any which way. Right? So those are the pros and cons. Once you start paying them once, it will become a habit that they'll expect it out of you every time. While with the national media, it's purely the story that matters. And suppose if you have a story which is decently newsy, but also has an element of self-promotion, it's always better to have an affiliate working with you, especially if it's in a non-core segment. Like if it is not in your city. If you have your media list created, then well and good. Otherwise, if you're working in a city which is not your core city, go for a affiliate.
And just last, Dhiren, so this was a confusion that I had, and a few people cleared it, but I just wanted to ask you again that press releases do not come in terms of like giving payments to newspapers or publications, right? And that's an advertisement, which is different from what a press release is, right?
So there are three differences. One is press release, advertorial, and a pure play advertising. Advertisement is what you see, like it could be classifieds, it could be say some product that buy this and for anything. Ad is typical ad copy, but an advertorial is something which appears as a story, as a news report, but the paper clarifies that it is an advertorial. That means someone has paid for it, right?
Okay.
A press release where you pay the journalist out of your own pocket or through a press agency or affiliate, that's a completely different thing. The story will appear as a normal news report, but the money has gone into the pocket of the journalist.
Okay. So,
And
so
the
do
other
press
part, there's no
releases,
the
so
other
do
part is
press releases, do press releases require, like if I'm for example, if I am approaching the city editor of maybe Hindustan Times in Bihar, right? And they are interested in doing the story, but will they ever ask me that for getting this story published, we need this amount of money? And also the reason why I'm asking this is also largely because, I mean, Jacob knows this, right? In the sense that we belong from a sector where, funding is always at a bigger side of things, or that's a big requirement for us, right? So anything that involves money element in it, it becomes a big question in terms of, okay, should we approach it or should we not approach it, right? And that's where I'm coming from as well.
Let me just jump in there, Dhiren, before you answer. Just because also this is being recorded and will be uploaded online. Whatever name is just an example. So it's
Yeah.
not, we're not talking exactly about that publication. Just to make
Yes.
sure that we are in a just to make
so
sure that we are
brands will never ask for it openly.
backing.
Actually, they will never ask for it. Yeah. It's always the smaller independent organizations, small organizations who depend on it. They will ask for it upfront, right? Some of them might even offer you packages that give me like $1,500 and I'll give you 3 coverages uh, in my paper or website. But because that's the business model, right? If you have the money or the budget for advertising, that's even better. Chunauti, you have a question?
Yeah, I have two questions actually. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So first question is like if we have an press release that I'm writing for a campaign that is actually a national campaign, but the issue is like in a specific region for a specific state, like the Nicobar issue. So I'm like thinking, would it help if we also target city publications, as you mentioned, because since it's easier to get published in a city publication. So, like for that kind of campaign, would you suggest targeting city or
I'm
local
not aware of the
publications?
Nicobar issue. Can you quickly give me a summary of what the Nicobar issue is?
Yeah, sure. So there's a Great Nicobar Island project that is in the development stage, and the government is going to build a mega infrastructure project which has ports and a tourism complex, which is going to be responsible for felling of 9.64 lakh trees. And there are other environmental consequences. So we have launched a campaign, and we are gaining movement to influence government so they can put a stop on this project or have a better environmental assessment of the impact.
Okay, yeah. So here there would be two sets of media quite relevant for you. One is from the A&M Island, whichever publications work there. Then second set of media would be Delhi, where the policy beat reporters would be most relevant for you, or all the environment media that would be most relevant for you. reaching out to other set of media, says out of Bangalore, Bombay, other big metropolitan cities, that wouldn't be relevant for you because it's matter for the central government, right? So you need to align which government is going to take a call on that. And
Okay.
that is how you need to identify which media you should go after.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, suppose if the
Thanks.
matter falls
Yeah.
into the state government's purview, and just for an example, it's more relevant for Tamil Nadu. There is no point in reaching to media in Delhi. You will have to reach out to
Yes.
media in
Yes, makes sense. Thanks a lot. So my second question is for press releases. Should they would it be helpful to add images for a particular issue, or if it's and
always.
what kind of images would be more impactful, since they're
So if it's an event where many people have congregated, then show the image of the event. Uh, and suppose if the event hasn't happened yet, suppose the press release is about a plantation drive that you will undertake with ministers and etc., etc., in a future date. Obviously, then there wouldn't be any images of the event. There you can use the image of the spokesperson, your file image from a previous campaign, or the photo of anyone relevant within your organization. You cannot use an image of the guest who is expected to be present there,
All right.
because last minute changes happen, the guest may pull out, but it's very subjective whether you want to take it or not.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
And other part, if the announcement is similar to an ad that you have launched before, don't place the image of the ad.
Okay. Like most of the images are already on the internet, so there's like nothing as such new that I'll be, I think I won't be providing any new information through the image. So would it still be relevant to add an image to give a context?
Image always helps. It's break the monotony of the text-heavy files that you will send. The other important part is, if you can, provide a high-resolution image, but as a link. That for high-res images, you can click on this link, you will be taken to the file. Right. So that will first of all put less load on your outbox of your email provider. So all the emails will go fast and not get stuck in the outbox because it's such a heavy file. And the other part is you would be able to provide more number of high resolution images or videos that you want to share with the media.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Tanmay?
Yeah, Dhiren, one quick question that I had was in terms of so for example, I wanted to understand the timelines, right? What is the practical timeline? So just to give you a little bit of context to what we are basically launching a school of programming for girls in Bihar, which in itself is a big thing, and I'm thinking of the different storylines attached to it. But I was just thinking, so this launch is sort of happening on the 13th and 14th of June, right? And like you mentioned for the previous Chunoti's answers as well, is the fact that one challenge that we have as of now is that we do not know how many girls are going to get enrolled, how many are not going to get enrolled. So we don't have the final number for it. But in terms, so that's why I don't also want to give a number and then we don't match to that, and then that becomes like a just sort of like a clickbait kind of a situation. But also at the same time, I'm also thinking as to if there's 1 month left now, so when should the process begin of at least reaching out to people, reaching out to journalists? So is 1 month, what's the practical timeline that it takes for usually to get a press release done?
1 month is a decent timeline, and things that you need to keep in mind is, first, what is the kind of claim that you can afford to make before the event happens. So one thing is, you can say that the campaign targets to benefit 10,000 girls. I'm just taking a hypothetical number.
Yeah.
10,000 girls in 8 districts across the state.
Okay.
Right. This is your target in the long term. You can put a lot of caveats in it.
Okay.
In such a statement that the organization wants to target to benefit 10,000 girls in 8 districts across the state by the end of the year. So you're putting in all the relevant information, but that is your target. You may not be able to achieve it. And later on, after the deadline is over, then you can say that we had announced this thing, and yeah, we fell short, or we exceeded or met the target. All those things that you can put in your subsequent press release. The other part, uh, whoever is going to be part of the launch of this program, you may need to do a virtual or a physical event. In either case, inform your journalist a week in advance.
Okay.
Right. For the previous 3 weeks, you need to identify the relevant names, participants from the media that you would like to invite.
Okay.
Okay. 1 week before the event, say suppose the event is next Tuesday. So you start reaching out to them the previous Tuesday.
Okay.
Right. Then they will start, most of them will respond with, okay, I'll see, reach out to me on Monday and I will tell you how the schedule looks like. And whenever you get a response like that, tell them, if you require, we can also have an exclusive interview with your spokesperson, or try a different way. Would you be also okay to explore an authored article if we can provide you before the event begins? Or whoever the the chief guest is, if we can provide a separate one-to-one conversation with them for 15 minutes during the event.
Yeah.
You need to give all these options only if they say, I'm not sure, I won't be there, we don't have people, all those things. If they are agreeing, but don't overexceed this as well. See how much you can realistically commit.
Okay. And 1 month is a good enough time frame that we should start working on this, right? From reaching out to people, convincing them in
You
some
reach
way.
out to people 1 week in advance. You build your media list 1 month in advance.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Yep. That's all.
And just for the sake of time, and also just making sure that we have any quick last questions, deep dives if they're required, we can break off into a separate call for your organization with Dhiren. And yeah, just any quick things that anyone would like to address. Thanks, Tanmoy. It means a lot. Yeah. Tagging you, Namita, Nritika, Marisha, Chunati, anything? If not, we have overshot by 38 minutes. So it's a concern of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Ritika, I don't think Uninhibited has done the one-on-one sessions with Dhiren, and we could talk about that separately. Because that will really deep dive and be tailored for your organization in itself. And yeah. Yeah, Namrata,
Yeah,
you're
sure.
scheduled. Yeah. All right. I gather that there's
Jacob, last, just quick
Tanmoy.
query. What is this? I mean, I was just seeing that, there are certain one-on-ones. So, what is the, what are these one-on-ones on about, or like, uh,
So
is it a part of the, yeah.
Yeah. So it's also linked with the group cohort sessions. Thanks, Marisha. Appreciate that. It's linked to the group cohort sessions. One of them is about building your media kit for Project Potential or Dakshin or Jhatka, whatever. And you just deep dive with Dhiren and me to deep dive into it. The second one is about building relationships that are appropriate for your organization's programs and projects. Different organizations have one program or multiple programs, and so like identify hyper local journalists, statewide journalists, and then national journalists. And by the end of that last session, if you make it through those two one-on-one sessions, by the end of the last session you'll end up with a list of at least 10 journalists. Some organizations have ended up with 40 journalist lists, because Dhiren is also he's a master of like 6,000 journalists across the country. So it's a very valuable resource. And but also, even just having a flat database would not really help. It's also about developing a relationship with them, sometimes with completely no agenda, and then maintaining the relationship in the long run. A lot of organizations share their media database with us, and I think Dhiren, you and I both identified like journalists. Some of them are not working with their publications. Some of them were dead, and so so a lot of media databases actually that many of organizations are sitting on are actually not live, and I don't mean live. I mean live. Okay, so sorry, that's a bad joke, but yeah. But it's about maintaining a live list of journalists who are in on the beat at a certain level of seniority, city editors, things like that. So like different rungs of journalists as well as the city and the language. There are multiple variables that will keep changing as
and
years go by.